The storyteller says, "My name is Sarah. I am 25 years old and I have been married for 4 years. I have a son and a daughter on the way. May God bring her safely." My story begins when I was 12 years old. My father passed away at that time and my mother had to rely on my uncles. And since my father is not their brother from the same mother, meaning my grandfather married another woman besides my uncle's mother and had my father with her. But unfortunately, my father's mother passed away. May God have mercy on her when she gave birth to my father. And my father was raised by my other grandmother. My grandmother raised my father. And at that time, my grandmother was a bit older and felt that my father was a gift from God to her. She was happy with my father and spoiled him more than her own children. And this is what made my uncles jealous of my father and hate him, always trying to ruin him, because my father was an exceptional person, outstanding in his life and work in general. And of course, as I told you, when I was 12 years old, my father passed away and my mother relied on my uncles. She couldn't go back to her family because we were 3 young children and my maternal grandparents were elderly and only had one son who was married and spent half the year abroad, not around them. In other words, in both cases, we would be a burden. So what happened was that my grandmother, who raised my father, suggested that she also raise us and take care of us because she loved my father so much and she loved us because of her love for him. As for my grandfather, he only cares about money and women. Days passed, and as the oldest of my siblings, I turned 15 years old. That's when I saw my cousin for the first time. And honestly, I liked him. Of course, this admiration didn't just stop there. My cousins encouraged me to go and confess to him, so I did, and I wish I had sought guidance first. Of course, I later discovered that my cousin was in agreement with my cousins who encouraged me to confess, just to make fun of me and laugh, making me a joke after he showed me a little attention. Naturally, being naive, I went to him blindly and confessed, and it was the worst day of my life. One day, my grandfather gathered us all in the sitting room.
Honestly, we didn't cover ourselves in front of our cousins because that was my grandfather's rule.
At that time, my fear was that my grandfather knew what I did, what I said to Khalid, and what I confessed. I wasn't focused on my grandfather. I was terrified until a man around 40 years old came in with a woman about 35 years old, and with them was a boy who seemed to be 3 years older than me and a girl about my age. Of course, everyone was shocked. Who are these people? What's going on? My grandfather silenced them and said with all the coldness